Hey guys, it's Brendan Ayer. Before we get started, if you like the show, make sure you subscribe, rate it, review it. All that stuff helps. Follow us on social media, Shitbrains Show on every platform. We even got YouTube. We got a Facebook group. And if you want bonus content, go to patreon.com/shitbrainshow. And if you have questions you want answered on the podcast, hit up shitbrainshow@gmail.com. Enjoy the program.
My brain is shit, man. It's shitty. Like it doesn't function properly. It just does whatever it wants. Life's still pretty good. This is Shit Brains.
Hey guys, welcome to Shit Brains, the podcast where we attempt to destigmatize mental illness and open up the conversation about mental health, mostly by talking about how our dicks don't work good. That's pretty much it, wouldn't you say?
It's been a common theme.
Yeah, I'm Brendan Ayer. I have a shit brain. That thing malfunctions all over the goddamn lot. I'm joined, as always, by Jimmy Graham, another shitty-brained man. What's up, Jimmy? What's going on?
What's up, player? Sunburnt.
You're always. We'll get into it, but we gotta. And we're coming at you, of course, as always, from Golden Ox Studio with Jeremy Demery on the boards. And man, I'm psyched. Super excited for our guest today. Too many credits even to fucking go through. I would just say he's a phenomenal comedian. I'm a fan.
Thank you.
Jeff Dye, welcome.
Thanks
to the
for
program.
having me. This is exciting. A real podcast.
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of these.
I
don't. I'm not a big podcast guest guy.
It's amazing that you did it, and let me tell you how much we value you as a guest, because I don't. So this is a newer podcast, but I don't bug guys. I just moved back to Cleveland from New York, and I don't bug guys coming through hilarities unless I know them or I've worked with them. But the other night, Jimmy texts me and he goes, "Hey man, Jeff's really cool. I'd love to have him on. If not, I also just met this guy that killed someone."
Yeah, dude.
So it was between.
Well, I'm honored that I got picked because I would definitely go with the murder guy.
Yeah, dude.
Do you think that murder guy's going to do the podcast?
Maybe. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, we're
You
going to
have to get him. Yeah.
We're going to get him. And this was the call I made. I said, first of all, I prefer Jeff. But second of all, I feel like...
That guy will be around.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Tell me if I'm wrong. I was like, I feel like that guy's probably more accessible.
I leave Monday. That guy's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here. And I did the worst job selling this to Jeff. I can't believe that you decided to come. Like last night, I was just like, I didn't know how to explain this.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, we just like talk and it's mental health and stuff. And
Yeah, I did. I was excited. It makes me happy. I'm happy to do it.
I have a few things I need to bounce off you guys. First of all, and I hate for you just to come in here, walk right into this negativity, but we haven't even launched yet. We got a podcast beef going on. Yeah, I forgot
With
about
whom?
I forgot about this, so I was like looking through, like, okay, what are the mental health comedy podcasts? And I forgot about this anger that lived in my brain, and then I realized the big one is The Hilarious World of Depression, right? Which is like a pretty big podcast, and it infuriates me. And despite the fact I've never asked to be on, but like I've done some pretty big podcasts being open about my mental health issues, and the people that heard that have like tweeted at Hilarious World of Depression.
Yeah,
like,
so
tons of
have
people
him
like, have him on. And I'm like, so you know about me.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So they have tons of comics on there. It's not all comics.
Right.
But like I was going through the checklist and it's like,
But this is how our brains work too, isn't it? It's just us going around every day going, why wasn't I
what
included?
the fuck? Yeah.
well, not only that.
Why haven't I been a guest on
and I didn't even ask.
Crashing, on Pete Holmes Crashing?
That's how crazy it is. I didn't even ask them.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't even get the no. But in my brain, I'm like, okay, the comedian side of it, I'm covered. Like I've looked at some guys and I'm like, okay, I have more credits than
Sure.
that guy. You know, so, and then the depression side of it, I hung myself. That's the top credit.
I have more depression credits too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging yourself is the top depression
Ooh,
credit.
she gets sad sometimes.
Yeah.
I hung myself.
Yeah. I'm like, that's the having your own sitcom
Sure.
of fucking depression. I
And
think,
botching it, that's a double.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you didn't even do it good.
Exactly. So A, you want to kill yourself. B, you're a failure.
Yeah, you didn't
Can't even get it
I
done
can't even
right.
do this.
Just fucking learn to tie the knot.
That's interesting. So I thought you were going to reference.
I'm
There's
also happy that you didn't hang yourself,
Me too.
buddy.
Oh, I always should
But
say
there's some
this,
humor in it,
because
you
people
know?
get
Still pretty funny.
People get mad when I joke about my failed depression attempt where I had to call my mom to cut me down.
You know what? I'll share something on this podcast I've never shared in my life with, except there's a few people in my circle know, but I've definitely never shared this story. But since you shared the hanging thing, I'll definitely share it.
Okay.
But before we get to that, there's a podcast about mental health that Taylor Tomlinson, Kelsey Cook, and gosh, I love her. Somebody's so mad that I forgot her name. She's a gorgeous blonde. They're three girls.
Yeah.
And they have a depression podcast or a
Nikki
podcast
Glaser?
about like mental health. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The self-helpless podcast.
What the fuck, dude?
I haven't heard about it.
Kelsey
I
Cook,
The
know
market
Taylor
is
T-
saturated.
Kelsey Cook, Taylor Tomlinson, and Hannah. Gosh, I can't remember her name.
Gatsby.
No, but she's no.
The Nanette
I wouldn't be
chick.
referencing that podcast ever. No, she's great. I'm so sad I forgot.
Taylor's fucking awesome.
But on that podcast, this is why I thought you were bringing it up. I just went hard lecturing Taylor Tomlinson on her podcast. She was like, I worked with Jeff this week. We should just find the clip. She was like, I worked with Jeff this week, and he's one of these infuriating people that like triggers your anger because he'll just just be happy. Why can't you just be happy?
Right.
And he's the person they talk about in these books that makes you that you'll encounter these people who just don't get your depression and they just don't get it. They'll never understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Taylor, I just don't understand your depression. You have all these specials on Netflix. You have like a
Right.
development deal with CBS.
20
You're very
for
good looking.
$6.
I know your parents are great. You have a great friends. You got a great podcast. Everyone loves you. You're crushing it. You're probably the #1 female comedian working right now. So what are you driving around LA going, it's so hard to be Taylor Tomlinson? Like, what is your world that you're sad?
I hope to get to the level of success where people are mad at me for my depression. That's
Hell
what,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
now when people know I'm depressed, they're like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I wanna
Like,
get to
No, they don't.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Speaking of Taylor, and I love Taylor. Years ago, this is how long ago it was. It was so long ago that I was headlining the show. But years ago, me and Taylor did Keene State in New Hampshire, and the school, the activities board guy comes up to me and he goes, "We tried to get Gabriel Iglesias, but we could only afford you." And I go,
Jesus.
And I go, "Do you know how many people are in between those
Right.
two price
But even then,
ranges?"
why do people say stuff like
Crazy
this?
shit.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Why
I
share
don't need
that?
to hear that.
But also,
Just say we're happy to have you.
Thanks.
You didn't have to
Yeah.
go. You're cheap.
but not only that, it's like you just went from a $120,000 act to a $3,000
But still.
act. Like that was the fucking natural thing. But yeah, Taylor's great.
I love Taylor. I'm not crazy about her outlook on things. Is what I will say. I love her. I wish her nothing but success. I mean, I really love her like a little sister. Like
Right.
I love her. But I'm trying to get up there and make people feel happy. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And I feel like she gets up there and she's like, I was trying to buy a car and they were like, this has power steering and this has anti-lock brakes. And I was like, can I cry in it?
Right.
And it's like just bumming everyone out.
Yeah,
She's like glorifying how sad and depressed she is, and she's manifesting that in her life. Because the more you talk about that, the more it like, for example, and like when a comic goes on stage, he's like, I'm a fat piece of shit. And then the crowd laughs, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm so fat that I sweat in the shower. And the crowd laughs. I'm so fat, no one wants to fuck me, right? And she's just killing. But then at the end of the night, they're just sitting back there at the back of the room with like a beer going,
Yeah.
yeah, I am a fat piece of shit.
Yeah. What was mine
I
last
haven't
night?
fucked in years. You know, it's just I think they're
Yeah.
manifesting this thing. They're like putting it in the universe.
What was mine last night? It was like, what did I say? Fuck.
Which one?
It was like
it sucks to look the way that I look.
Yeah, it
That's my
sucks to
favorite.
look the way that I do.
No, you said it sucks to look the way that I look, and it was like my favorite wording of a sentence.
That's the best part about Jimmy, that it's like a depressing statement, but also worded so
Worded perfect. It was
depressingly,
so
where
funny.
you're like, dude, I don't know if did you learn how to speak?
Do you know how many of my comedy heroes would have just loved your set last night?
Why is that?
Because there's so I'm not necessarily like this, but all my guys like that, because I used to open for Geraldo when he would come through.
Oh,
and
wow.
I got to see a lot of the Sean Rouse I worked with for a few times, and these were all the guys I like really looked up to, who like were like, oh, I like this Jeff guy, you know, he's smiley, but he still speaks his truth. Their whole thing was just like fearlessness. So like to be the host and then be like, yeah, I'm jacking off at work, like all this shit, like that is a fearlessness where he at one point looked at these two sweet people, nice, just salt of the earth, fat, touristy looking people. I mean, all they were missing was like the camera around their neck. They had like the
fanny
sunburn.
pack.
Yeah, they were just. And he goes, where are you from? And they go, Virginia. He goes, can we get a quick boo for Virginia? Can we get a quick boo for your whole area you're from?
And they booed him.
Yeah, they did.
That's
I think
awesome.
what I love
Fearless.
so much about Jimmy is like, there's a lot of guys that like get to be a headliner and then they're like, okay, I can do this now. You're just doing it as a host, where like, you know what I mean? Like when you're selling tickets, it's like you do whatever the fuck you want. You're just doing it because that's what you like to do. And that, to me, that's respectable. Where I'm like,
It
this
sucks though. It fucks me. That's why I'm
yeah,
still
of course.
hosting. Yeah.
But it's still. I mean, I would trust that sensibility. It's great. Like I was crying, laughing, and Sam goes, "If you want, I can tell him to like clean it up for the second show." And I go, "No, no, let him keep doing what he's doing. Fuck that. No, I'm laughing at it. I'm shocked, but I'm also like, laughing.
Yeah.
It would fuck Sam's brain up if I just went like and just had it clean 10, like
Super
squeaky
Yeah,
clean.
switch it up.
Yep. Just be like, hey, no, I'm into Christianity now.
I like that's his idea of a clean set.
Right. You have to. There's
I'm
there's
into
no in
Christianity.
between.
You couldn't just be about kitty cats.
Yeah.
It has to be a completely like I'm into Christianity. That even sounded patronizing.
Yeah.
Even you saying I'm into Christianity.
I feel kind of like a lot like what you were describing, that like kind of my responsibility as a comic is for people to leave like feeling good.
That's
you know
what I
mean?
want.
Like I'm in comedy clubs all the time. They're not. They got a babysitter. It's their fucking night out. They're paying a lot of money, like all that shit. And it's like, so when people ask me like, and this happened, I think a lot in New York, like the kind of New York really super alt scene, like would kind of like look down on jokes that kind of worked everywhere.
Yeah, like a more mainstream kind of.
And I'm not even that mainstream, but it's just like, I can work the road,
Right.
and I can also do alt rooms. But it was like, people would say like, why aren't you doing like political stuff and it's like, A, I don't think it's funny,
Right.
So that, and then B, I'd rather take a room full of people that don't agree on politics or whatever, and have them find the things they agree on, like laugh at the same.
Well, we have
shit.
more in common than we don't.
Exactly. That's the
And we're
exact
focusing
thing.
on all the things we don't have in common, which is very annoying. And this is going to sound real pussy. Anybody listening to this is going to, you guys had this fucking guy on. Yeah. But like, I used to want to make the crowd laugh. Then I wanted to make the crowd think. And now in my career, I'm done with it. I just want them to feel something.
That's
I want them to leave and go, I liked that guy. He called Cleveland last night a bunch of pussies when LeBron left. You guys acted like a bunch of babies. You acted like a bunch of snotty little brats, like he owed you something. And then he came back and you guys had to eat crow, like, oh, we were just mad. We're sorry.
Yep.
Take his letter down off the website, whatever that guy's name is,
Oh, Gilbert.
But they still were like, we loved your show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, of course.
I shit on them for a little while because I was just honest. I was like, you guys acted like a bunch of brats. But I made them feel something enough during the first part of my show that they were like, he can say whatever he wants.
Right.
And that's my goal, because I want them to just be like, I like that guy.
Chad Daniels told me a funny story, because I was like, my comedy is pretty silly. It's like, it's silly, it's absurd, and when I like close to the time I got out, I got back into comedy after I was in the mental hospital and all this shit. Chad saw me do a set in New York that was like dark and about that time and about mental health stuff, and he took to it and he really liked it.
love
And and so we've been like kind of talking about, because it's a weird thing for me because I'm not yet at the place like I asked a friend of Birbiglia's, I was like, how did he work out like
That one-man
show type stuff, like. And they were like, he just didn't give a fuck. And if people walked, they walked, and he didn't care. And I'm not at that place. Like, I need the money, you know. And so I was talking to Chad about it, and Chad was kind of telling me, he was like, dude, you got to remember, like, they don't need to be laughing, they need to be listening
and connecting.
Yeah, and he was like, if they're quiet, they're interested. And he was telling me this funny story how I don't remember the guy's name, but the headliner that kind of taught him that was like, this is the exercise we're going to do tonight. And this was like 20 years ago or whatever. He was like, we're both going to go up there and we're going to go as long as we can, just holding the audience's attention without being funny. And so Chad goes up and like struggles and does it. Headliner goes up and just murders immediately. Was just fucking.
Didn't even try.
Yeah, was just fucking.
That's great.
Was just
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Chad Dan is one of those guys. I would say
What
is
a
one
sweetie pie.
of my favorite humans on the planet, and
Yep.
we've probably only been in each other's company 10, 15 times. And I'm being generous. Maybe less than 15 times.
He
Maybe
fucking rules.
But he's just such a good dude.
When he was here a couple years ago at Hilarities, and they have that cop that walks around.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure is just drunk all the
Yeah,
time.
he sucks. And he was like, good set. I was like, you didn't listen to shit. Shut
Not
up.
that guy. There's
Good
another
set.
one, and this guy's funny. He's a Euclid dude too, but I would always like I was getting fucked up there and hanging out with Chad, and then I was like fucking with the cop, and I was like, yo, dude, can I play with your gun? Like saying shit like that. And then he, in the middle of Hilarities, like after hours, the cop pulls his taser on me.
Oh my God.
Just joking, like fucking around. And I'm like,
good, that's great.
And I'm like, you won't do it.
Good joke.
Yeah,
good
it's
bit.
like, you won't do it, you fucking pussy. You won't do it. And then I look over and Chad's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay.
You should have let him do it.
I would have.
Oh,
yeah.
he had to do a bunch of paperwork, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
why his
you
fucking
can't,
thing
can't
is.
discharge that thing without writing it up.
You could like press it on somebody probably.
I've got a solution for this whole thing. You know how these cops keep getting in trouble for shooting people. You know, I actually have a solution for it. My rule would be like if I ran. No, there's not one person that runs all the police, but I would say, listen, every time you pull your gun, no matter what happens, it will be investigated and you will be held criminally responsible,
Yep.
or like you'll be held responsible, no matter what. Even if you shoot the pavement, like we are
Right.
going to investigate it so thoroughly that you are not special. You're not above any laws. And the cops are going to be mad,
Right.
right? They're going to go, oh, that's what the hell? Don't police the police, blah, blah, blah. Here's the trade. You can tase as many and as much and as often as you want. Tase happy motherfucker. We'll
Tase
never
us up.
question it. You tase some kid in a grocery store, we're not going to investigate it. You felt like you needed to tase a guy, tase a guy. And that's the trade.
This is genius.
It's a good trade.
The first part of it, I was like, it just seems like it's kind of already what's happened. And then the second part, it's beautiful.
Right,
Just,
brilliant.
No questions
Because
asked.
you can be
tase
afraid.
policy.
Like, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. We don't care. You
Right
felt
away,
afraid.
yeah.
That person didn't die. It's
Yeah.
hard to stab someone. All your muscles are locking up. And so, yeah, the taser's very effective.
Yeah.
Add in like a one of those beanbag shotguns.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Go to town with one of those.
Guess
That's
how
freaking
many
out,
people
dude.
have died of a taser?
Just that guy at the Capitol.
What guy?
Didn't some guy get like shock himself to death at the Capitol?
I don't think so. I think a woman got shot in the chest for trying to jump over a thing. She died.
Oh.
Yeah, similar, but
Similar.
No, but
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
how many people have ever died from a taser?
0. Two.
In the history of tasing.
Jeremy, let's fact check that.
That's true.
Jeremy, pull it up.
It's a guy. There was a black kid in a grocery store that got tased, and something happened with his heart. And then one guy at an airport that they just tased him like 1 billion times until I don't know what the story was with that. But they were both freak accidents. And then
Right.
the police department sued the taser company, saying that you said this is non-lethal, and they were like, "It's a coincidence."
They're like, yeah, you
Or not
held it,
coincidence,
you
it's
held
not a
it on him
coincidence,
for
it's an
45
exception.
minutes.
500 people.
Don't look things up if it ruins the bit, Jeremy.
Oh, wow.
Don't,
No,
that's-
let's see it. What does it say?
I already exited out. I got reprimanded.
We yelled
I'm
at him.
out of
See,
there.
Sorry, no. Don't feel bad.
See, I get Jeremy in trouble. That's my role on the show. I get Jeremy
Well, no,
yelled
because
at.
he's doing what listeners would do.
Yeah.
I just popped off, and I'd have gotten like 500 tweets about how people were like, "That's not true." Okay, I was under the impression. I watched a documentary about tasers, and there was 2 that died,
That's crazy.
and they sued the police department. They're like, "You said this was non-lethal," but Still, I still stand by it.
Well, here's the
that's
thing.
true.
This
You know,
is
like
why
just tase the fuck out of everyone.
I don't like. This is why I don't like living in the future, because I enjoyed the time when a friend could just say something, and then that was a fact in my brain forever. Instead of like now, it's just immediately look it up.
Look it up.
Like when I was little, before phones, there were so many lies that I was just like, "Yep, that's the truth," because fucking Dante on the playground said it. You know, so I'm going with Jeff on this one.
Well, I want to see. But here, I don't. Here's the thing. I was definitely wrong about 2 dying. I'm looking it up, but I'm not wrong that like just letting them go taser happy.
Yeah.
No, you're not
would
wrong
be
about that.
much better
That's
than
way
bullets.
less people than fucking
Yeah. That guy running away from you at Wendy's, tase him. Don't
Right.
shoot him
Don't
in
shoot
the
him.
back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is tangential, barely related, but I thought I'd bring it up because I found this out. This is a crazy story. I like records. I like to know records and stuff. And
Like Guinness Book of World. These kind of things.
What would you guys think? The guy who has been struck by lightning the most has been struck. By
Oh,
lightning.
like what would you think it is?
How many times? Yeah.
6?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a
That's
lot.
a freak accident. Maybe 2.
I'd say 2. 3 because it'd be weird. I think 3 is the
Jeff
number.
wins 7 times.
That's insane.
He was a park ranger, so he's a park. You can pull him up, Jeremy,
What a
if you want.
fucking
He was
asshole.
here's the thing that's crazy about him. He's been hit by lightning 7 times, and then he's been attacked by a bear 22 times. And at that point, you're like, "What are you doing? What are you
Roy
up to?"
Sullivan
Look at this
Yeah.
guy.
And
is
then-
a legend.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part. He killed himself, and part of the reason he killed himself, this is crazy. People, because he'd been hit 7 times, people stopped wanting to hang out with him.
Yeah, he's like, God's after
He
this
just
guy.
became a hermit.
But I feel like there must have been an arc to that, you know what I mean? Like after 2 times,
He's
you're like,
still. Oh, he's not alive. He's
yeah,
dead.
after 2 times, I feel like you'd be like, all right, man, I'm
Yeah.
going to hang out with him. No way someone
Yeah.
gets hit 3 times.
He's safer than my friends who haven't got struck by lightning.
Yeah, but
Jesus.
7 times he
Good
got
for
struck
him.
by lightning.
Wait, where's the bear thing you said?
That I'm not. That see if there's anything about getting hit the bear attacks. That could have just been made up.
Because he's a ranger. I mean, it looks like
fucking
he's
insane.
But
I love this.
I saw that the thing I read, the article read said he was attacked by bears 22 times. It also said one of the bear attacks was happened simultaneously to one of the lightning strikes.
So he's just like season out.
Which is crazy.
and that scared
Damn.
the bear away.
Yeah,
the
I'm
bear's
sure.
like,
Yeah,
I'm out of
yeah.
You're
here.
an unlucky dude.
From everything I've read, he should have superpowers.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Like,
I underwent. It's crazy that he killed himself because I had electroconvulsive therapy. I had shock therapy.
Oh,
and
my
it's like-
God.
I think that's the same.
Was it the church
shit.
trying to make you not gay?
No, but I'm straight, so I did come out of it gay.
Oh, wow, yeah, reverse,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll reverse.
They're
it if
onto
you're-
something.
Yeah. But no, I had the full ECT, and it's weird.
Do you know this record?
What's this?
Oh, here we go. Look at that. Someone did some
Yo.
cool art for it.
Some deviant
I mean, that's some
art.
dope like pop art of like him getting struck by lightning and he's just taking it like a
Just
man.
his hot ass.
Because I gotta imagine all 7 times he went like this. Ah! Like that pop art makes it sound like he just stood there and wore it in the chest. Like, oh, you think this is gonna kill me?
that's
I've
all
already
you
been through
got,
4 of
partner.
these.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a record for you. What age do you think the youngest woman to ever give birth was?
Oh God, I've seen this before, and it depressed the shit out.
Oh,
of me.
yeah,
no.
I
It's
play this game
something
all the time.
fucked up.
How
I think
young
it's
do you
like
think the
seven-
youngest
I think
one?
it's like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, because I remember being freaked out by it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'll go 4.
5 years old.
Oh God.
She was 5
Jesus
years old.
Christ.
She gave birth to a healthy baby. She outlived the baby. The baby lived to be like 30 something. She's still alive. She was a Peruvian woman who literally, and they had to investigate the parents, right? They were like, dude, how'd this baby get
What the
pregnant?
fuck?
Yeah, like a 5-year-old who's pregnant.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find any evidence that the dad did anything or whatever. And so they just raised that baby and raised that baby. And she thought it was like her little brother for like ever. And then they had to finally tell her, like, no, that's your baby.
Son.
Yeah.
Not insane.
5.
5 years old.
That's fucking nuts.
I also like that they were like, no evidence, and it's like, Well, she is pregnant.
Yeah.
That's seems to be pretty glaring evidence that something
horrible happened.
Yeah, like,
What, do you let her hang out at the clubs?
The dad's just like
smoking.
The dad's
She
just
wasn't
like,
staying at hotels.
the dad's just like drunk. Like, what? You never heard of Jesus Christ?
Well, that's the thing that's crazy is that, like, how do you, I mean, like, I would love to know how thorough the investigation was. I mean, like, because before, like, DNA and stuff.
Yeah,
They just looked at the baby and looked at the guy, and they're like, "Nah,
It doesn't look the same.
Whatever, let's move on."
Oh, dude, that's horrible.
That sucks.
Yeah, and also crazy. Human bodies are crazy. Crazy that didn't kill her
Right.
to give birth. Because
When you think the youngest guy, we looked up the youngest guy once. We're like, well, then that's
Hey,
got to be like
fucking
2 years old or something.
That
If it-
guy's fucking
Yeah.
cool as hell. Dude.
And I think the youngest guy to ever like impregnate a woman was like, 11 or so. It was like the number was like, what?
Hell yeah.
You think dudes would be?
well, but
Super low.
like something weird must have happened to her that she was able to ovulate. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Makes
She
no
probably had
sense.
something strange going. Whereas a guy, I've never heard. And I mean, I troll the message boards pretty regularly. I've never heard of a boy coming at like 4. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I wish I would have known this because I got a little 5-month-old, and I think this could have been useful during labor if I just told my lady.
Yeah, like
if I just told my
4-year-old,
lady, hey,
5-year-old.
hey, a 5-year-old
Suck it
did
up.
this.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Get
She
it-
did it easy,
get
too.
it together. She didn't even remember.
She did it natural. And if you look up at the photos, it's mortifying.
yeah, I don't want to see
Jesus.
that.
Because
That
a
sucks.
5-year-old's so tiny, and this is like a full, healthy baby. Like, and
Christ.
her tummy is like the size of her body. It's like the weirdest thing.
Two of my favorite guys, and they shouldn't be because it's horrific, but two of my favorite guys are these brothers. Jeremy, if you can look it up, they're I think they were Cambodian, and somehow the village like imparted the status of gods to them, and they became these like 5-year-old warlords.
Yes.
And
that.
they would just sit there like smoking cigars with giant ass
Guns.
machine guns at like
yeah.
5, and
Young
they controlled a militia. Like,
That's amazing.
They controlled like a murderous Cambodian
Yeah.
militia, and they were just 5. Where it's like, I want a toy. Go, we gotta kill those guys.
Bring me candy. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
This kid's cool as fuck.
Jerry, yeah, if you find a picture of those dudes, that's
It's
them.
already been searched, too. Did you see that? It was already...
That's them right
Oh,
there.
fuck yeah.
The first picture is him smoking a cigarette. Like
He's
5.
like, "Oh, dude, that kid fucking rocks."
Oh, Myanmar. Yeah,
Bring me
God's
someone
army.
to fix my haircut.
This fucking kid rocks.
Yeah.
Well, what was their deal? Are they still alive?
They were no, it's Johnny and Luther. Go to Johnny and Luther. They sound like a soul band, Johnny and Luther, but they like got out of it. They kind of became okay, I think.
Like child actors.
Yeah, they survived like regular Macaulay Culkin. But yeah, they
Oh, that's
were,
scary. Why would they want to get out of that life?
Yeah, what
I
the
know.
fuck?
I mean, you
would-
started at King.
Yeah, I would do anything to live that life.
yeah. The who's the antivirus guy? John.
Oh, McAfee?
Yeah,
Fucking
that
shout
guy-
out McAfee. You're the king, dude.
That McAfee spent his whole billions trying to create himself as a warlord in
Yeah, you know how
Bolivia.
long it takes?
Yeah, it
They
took him
started
forever.
at King.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Don't get out of it. That really shows no matter what you get, you don't appreciate it. You know, so like if your parents are religious, then you're like all against. That's a great photo right there. Like they got chicks around them that are way too old for them.
Yeah, they were like did anyone?
He's doing the IO Hitler over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah. Did
No,
anyone?
but what I was saying is like if your parents are like religious, then you become like, oh, I'm gonna get tattoos and I'm gonna fuck and do drugs. And then like if your parents were like these godless, agnostic people, then you like find the church. You're like, oh,
Right.
it's always the opposite of
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
These dorks start at King
Yep.
and then go, I think I don't want this life. It's like what?
Yeah, what
you're
are you
the top.
doing? Yeah, what are you doing? So
It's like Nate Bargatze becomes the greatest comic in the world and wants to be a golfer. You know what I'm saying? They always want something. You're like, I'm just trying to do that, and
Grass
you
is
want to
always
golf.
greener.
It's intermission time.
Hey guys, it's Brendan. Sorry to interrupt. I just have to tell you, if you like the show, we do a bonus episode every week, plus tons of other content. Go to patreon.com/shitbrainshow. All right, back to the action.
We're happy to have you with us tonight and hope you'll come back often.
Yeah, so Johnny and Luther, listen, if your guys are listening,
Oh, be on the podcast.
Get back. Yeah, first of all, there's a chair always open for you.
Can you
but
imagine-
get back to that good life. You know what I mean?
you imagine
guys
their
had it all.
stories?
Yeah. God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you were gonna cry to me about mental health. You know, he's fucking talking about murdering
They're
people.
going to come on. They're going to be like, look, the only thing I don't want to talk about is that 5-year-old Peruvian girl, okay? That's all fucking limited.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 500 Peruvian girls.
Yeah. Here's something I am. Here's our states, right? I am diagnosed with all of these different mental illnesses, and I am, I would say, healthy and
Good.
in recovery mostly, you know,
Nice.
in a good place. Jimmy is not diagnosed with anything.
Yeah, man, in a
Shout out.
horrible place.
Shout out.
Worried about him.
You know, kind of has some stuff going on, but also I'm trying to convince him. I don't think his life is as bad as he thinks, and that's part of this podcast. Where I'm trying to get Jimmy to realize that I think he's very talented and has a lot going for him. But what's going on in your brain? Where are you at? Because you seem, and we've never met, but
Yeah.
you seem like extremely grounded.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very obsessed with this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm always doing like mental exercises and like reading stuff. And I've never read anything in my life, right? I don't really read, but I listen to books,
Right.
So just in the pandemic, I've knocked out like 200 something books. I listen to like a
shit.
book almost. I'm listening to a book every day, but sometimes it takes 3 days to finish the book. Sometimes it takes 1. Sometimes it takes 2. So I'm listening to a book every day about this stuff. I love anything about like happiness or like what it takes to just feel good in life, if that
Right.
makes sense. Like, what, your good is different than my good, and how do I find mine is kind of what I'm always like working on. The problem with me and my brain, if I had to pick, is that it's always good. So when anytime something bad enters, it's like the fall of the universe. Like my brain just goes, "Ah," and I'm like, yeah. So it's like high, and then super low. Like I've got to
sucks.
end it all. And so I'm trying to not do that. Because it doesn't take it takes a lot for me to feel that sad, but when I get to that spot, I really make a meal of it.
Yep.
And I start drinking and thinking things. And I said I was going to mention it earlier. I tried to take my life, and it boggled my friends' minds. They were
Right.
like, Jeff is like the happiest guy. The most beautiful women are with him. He's got this great, like, they in their brain, they're like, I'm just struggling to get by as a comedian. I live in some dump. They're seeing my things and like what I put out there, and they think, oh, he must be the happiest guy in the world. And so then I have to go to some facility because I try to like kill myself.
Right.
And the way I did it was horrible. Like almost like I didn't want to do it. If I was to be deep down in my subconscious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I came home, I got sad. Oh, I was already sad. I came home, I was drunk, and I just took like a bottle like this big of just Vicodins. I mean, just crushed like. There must have been like 70 Vicodins in there.
You're probably drinking too, right?
I was already drunk.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So, and not close with my family. So like I didn't really have. I that's kind of where my sadness goes in. Is when I start thinking about the things I don't have.
Right.
Like my friends would go home for Christmas, and I'm like, I don't.
Right.
And then you get real sad of like, oh man, I wish I had a cool mom and dad, or I wish I had wish my sister was still alive and we could spend this holiday together. Oh, like everyone else has got a wife and a girlfriend and kids, and I'm sitting there going, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife. So I start thinking about things I don't have. I'm sad. I eat like a fucking 70 Vicodins, right? And instead of just dying, which would have been fine,
Right.
or no one finding out, which would have been fine, I wake up to like a banging on my apartment. The fire department breaks down my door and like takes me to this facility. But if they wouldn't have showed up, I would have lived. I threw it all up. My
Right,
body
right.
threw it all up. So it's so humiliating for these firefighters to just see my like naked body and my dog barking and then just like a bunch of vomit like on the bathroom floor.
Right. Yeah.
That'd have been great. I could have just woke up humiliated, mopped it up.
Mopped it up.
Yeah, take the dog out and go, Jesus, what did I do last
Yeah.
night?
like
Last
fire-
night was a little crazy.
But instead, I've got like 100 people texting me like, we heard, we love you, you're
fuck,
important.
man.
So now anytime I get sad, I get, I went through a breakup and all my friends are going, hey, it's going to be, I'm like, I know it's going to be okay.
Right,
And now forever,
right.
this is my stamp.
Well, that's what, and I kind of have and I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
And like I do think it's important for guys like us to share that. I mean, especially a guy like you with your success, because like I think anyone listening that's in that spot, like I'm grateful I fucked up. I'm grateful I'm an idiot and tried to hang myself with a blanket, not a rope. You know what I mean?
Those boys.
I'm grateful. Jeff threw up all his Vicodin. So if you're in that spot, I think the important thing to realize is like it'll pass.
That's the best advice. Time.
And look, like in my case, it took a fucking while, man. It took a year and a half, but now I have a baby, a lady. I'm working steady. I'm on the road. It's like it passes.
That's the best advice. TIME. Write it down.
Yeah.
Time. And just know whatever you're feeling right now, even if it's happiness, and fuck, good for you. If you can find even like a glimmer of happiness for 5 minutes, then fucking embrace it. Good for you. But just know time. It's going to be okay. Or things will pass. Your life's going to change. You never think you'd have a baby or whatever. Like, it's like just things. And that's the thing. If you can remind yourself, even when you're very, very sad, like, dude, I'm just feeling this now. Yeah. And it's going to pass. I'm going to feel good probably tomorrow or maybe next month or maybe a year, whatever it is. But eventually, you won't have to feel this thing.
Yeah. And the other thing I really liked that you said is like, your happiness is not my happiness.
Yeah.
Because I was getting really frustrated, and I've been getting really frustrated lately about like not getting back to what I had. You know, at one point I was perfectly healthy, you know, like just a happy, normal dude. And like it angers me that I put all this work in and I'm like better, but I still have depressive days, you know? And like my doctor was just like, hey man, like guys that lose their leg, they don't want to fucking lose their leg. Right. You know, like you have a disease. It's not great. We're managing it and you're doing awesome. Mm-hmm. Like you have joy in your life. You just have some bad days, you know, deal with it. And that kind of was like that kind of tough talk was like, yeah, that's right. That's true. My life is a lot happier than tons of people. You know, I want back to like, don't give a fuck about anything, and it's like, well, that's not going to happen. You know,
who was it? Someone used to have Thoreau. Some author had this like thing about how like you'll never be able to go back to what it was on anything. Right. So it's like trying to think of the example that they use is really smart. It was beautiful the way it was like. It's like you're not going to be able to go back to that life. So for example, like I used to just hook up with all these chicks, right? And then I fall in love. I shut down the whole operation. And then I was like, well, you know, screw her. This didn't work out. I'll go back to fight. And I can't. Yeah. I can't go back to that life. Right. I've kind of evolved in a way where now I'm going, I almost wish that I didn't fall in love. Like this, I was fine doing that. Yeah. But now I've gotten to a spot, and I know that sounds like a weird example, but that's with a lot of things. Yep. You're not that boy anymore. Yeah. You know, like you think, oh, well, I'll try this marriage thing. And if that doesn't work, I'll go right back to the bars where I'm drinking whiskey. But you're not 22 anymore. Right. Now you're 38, and a bunch of college girls are running around going, oh, look at the old idiot at the bar. Like, you're not that anymore. Right. So you try to think, well, I'll always go back to that. You're not. Yep. We're changing all the time, man. It's not the same.
What was I going to say? Jimmy, fill a little space while I remember this.
fill a little space?
Yeah, fill a little time.
Well, what that reminds me of was what we talked about is I fucked on DMT recently.
Oh, okay, nice.
And trying to go back right now to just regular pussy
is
insanely difficult. Too far. I can't. I've been to the promised land.
Really?
I can't go back. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Do they recommend you have sex when you're on DMT, or is that like a big no-no?
I don't know. This is my first time. It's crazy. I'd highly recommend it.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
It's not if it's going to ruin everything else.
Well, you just told him it ruined pussy for you, and then you're like, you got to do it.
But one time it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what I need is to look at the girls and go, ugh. Well, so I'm a big mushrooms guy.
Yeah,
but newly, you know, and
do you microdose or do you fucking?
No,
do you
I go full
in?
journey.
What do you go?
I get annoyed when people microdose, but I will say here's the thing: microdosing is great, and some people use mushrooms as microdosing as an antidepressant, sure, and that makes sense. I'm not shitting on those people, but I am saying when I talk about mushrooms and when people that are microdosing for an antidepressant talk about mushrooms, we're talking about two different things.
Yep. Sure, of course,
and that's what annoys me.
I had to have a conversation because I had during the ECT, so. It starts on one side of your brain, like they put an electrode there. First of all, it's great because it's the only doctor I had just dealt with so many doctors and was kind of so full of getting fed bullshit.
Yeah.
That like I don't ask doctors a lot of questions, but I was like, okay, they're gonna electrocute my brain. I should ask something, you know. And I was like,
Yeah, I should probably ask some. Hey, this is gonna hurt.
and I was like, hey man, I was like, hey, how does this work?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, no one knows, man. And
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, and it strangely calmed me
Yeah.
because I was like, at least there's one honest guy.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
he said man.
He didn't try to bullshit me.
Yeah, like-
That's what I wish my friends would do when I go, okay, all right, explain to me one more time Bitcoin. And I wish just one of my friends would go, I don't know.
Yeah, I wish
don't
just
know.
one person would. Not even I don't know. I just wish one person would say, you know what? It doesn't make sense.
Does
No,
not.
just
It's
put
not
it
a
in
real
there and
thing.
maybe you'll get more money
Yeah.
to buy more shit you like.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Don't sit there and go,
Yeah.
whoa, it's a blockchain. Yeah, so go ahead.
So it starts unilateral, the electrodes on one side of your brain. You do that, you go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And
Yeah.
that doesn't start working. They go bilateral. That's two sides of your brain. And that is when you start getting memory loss. A little
Oh,
bit.
that
But
sucks.
No, it's fine because
That's all we have.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing about it. And they tell you this. Somehow they know this. They go, look, you're not going to forget anything important. We don't know why. You're just going to forget stuff that doesn't really matter.
It's like in a different filing cabinet.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fucking-
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's not embedded. And so
Right.
and
You're going to
what-
forget your address from
and-
like seven houses
well,
ago.
what's
Who gives a
interesting
shit?
about it is if you think about memory, like it's not like you wake up every morning and go through every memory you've ever had.
Correct.
So I don't know what memories it's lost for me
Sure.
until they come up. So like I was on the road a couple years ago and I went to see
But also, what a great excuse.
Yep.
Oh,
no,
it's the
yeah,
best.
dude.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's like, you're like, hey, man, we work together in Cleveland. And you're like,
ECT.
yeah.
dude, I went through some stuff. It's shocking. And now I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, but really, you probably I'm not very memorable.
Yeah, you have a built-in out. That's
No,
great.
it's great, and I mean, my girl knows that, and like it is true. I do like, but I don't forget like important shit. But
Right.
like she does know, like I don't remember when we first met because before I went crazy, we met in New York, and she remembers it. Because she was like an open micer and like came up and was like, "Oh, you were awesome," and like so she told me that, and I
He
had
had
to
sex with an open.
I had to pretend to be like, no, we didn't even have sex that time, but I had to pretend to be like, for like the first 3 months of our relationship,
No
I had to
shit.
pretend to be like, yeah, I remember when we met 3 years ago. I loved you from then.
The moment I met you, laid
yeah.
eyes on
No, but
you.
it's like weird shit. Like I was on the road and I went to see John Wick 3, and I
Nice.
sat down. The show started. And I
If
go,
I ever forgot John Wick 3, I would demand my money back from the hospital.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
you pieces of shit.
What the fuck? Yeah,
so I
movie
sit
rocks.
down. John Wick 3 starts, and I go, they took John Wick 2. That it's gone. There's no John Wick
there's
2
no recall.
in my brain, and it's like so. It's shit like that,
Yeah.
and it's kind of fine because I'm like, okay, now I can see John Wick 2 again, you know.
Yeah.
But so what I was getting to is the kind of the microdosing. The third thing they do when that's not working is there's a real big kick now to use ketamine
Yeah,
as
okay.
an antidepressant.
It's pretty successful.
It is,
from what I've
yeah,
gathered.
it's pretty successful. But like, I had a talk with the guy because I was like, "Look, I'm a sober drug addict, alcoholic. Been sober since I was 23. I used to abuse ketamine. Like, are you sure this is okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude, you're going to be under. Like, it's fine." So they were shocking me and injecting a
Jeez.
jungle cat.
Can you imagine if you just
tranquilizer.
walked in on that? Like you didn't know, and if you just had no knowledge of anything, and you like picked the wrong door to
like-
something, and just go, "Oh my god,
Okay.
you guys got to stop doing that to this
Yeah.
guy," you know?
Oh fuck! Don't they like you just basically go to bed? They give you like a
Yeah,
blanket.
you don't.
And you just
It's
lay
not.
down.
It's not like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You don't. I don't remember any of it. You're under, and also you don't. They give you a muscle relaxant, so you don't actually have the seizure. But
Jeebus.
it's super effective. It didn't work for me, but like I don't like to knock it because it has such a bad reputation already. And like I know Gary Goldman's open about it. Like saved him. I've seen tons of dudes in the mental hospital save their life.
Nothing will make you feel better about your life than going to one of these facilities too. The place that when I had to go to when like, you know, they thought I was, you know, I guess I was suicidal, but like they thought I had a problem,
Right.
you know, like, or I did have a problem. they thought that I was doing this every night or something, or like that I had thought about it for years and finally acted on it or whatever. Dude, just sitting next to some like gothic girl who's just doing it as like a cry for help, and then you see some boy and you're just going, I'm not these people. I mean, nothing makes you go, I've got a great life, and if that kid takes one more goddamn photo of me from across the way on his phone, that I'm afraid it's going to end up on the internet. Like you just sitting there going, this is just humiliating.
Well, I have to warn you about this because now we haven't launched yet. Who knows how big this podcast will be? But I have to give you this warning because I've been like pretty open about my experiences on like some bigger podcasts, and my Instagram messages are 50% just suicidal people asking me for help.
I think that's good. I'm happy to talk to anybody.
I immediately say, hey, man, I'll talk to you, but also I'm not a doctor.
I'm not the one.
But
also, when I say I'm not those people, I hope they're looking at me and going, I'm not this fucking sad fuck. Right. You know, like I hope they're all thinking
they're
that.
not.
Because here's the thing. We're all working on something. Everybody's got some shit.
Yeah, but you're better than those people.
When I say those kind of things, like, so I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, sometimes, like, I'll be at a place and I'll be like, dude, I'm better than this. And people are like, that's so arrogant. I was like, no, we're all better than this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm speaking for you, too.
Yeah.
We should all not be at this crappy strip club.
Get the fuck
like,
outta
just
here.
leave. We should all just leave.
Everybody. Shut it down.
Even the
burn
gals
it
that
down.
work here need to get out. We need to all.
That's like there was a fucking there was a pinball team at you ever go to the
I'm gonna throw a challenge flag. What is a pinball team?
there's like bar league pinball.
I've never heard of that in my
Yeah,
life.
you shouldn't hear
I'm
about
so
it.
bad.
Yeah,
Yep.
you shouldn't-
Pinball's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And have you ever been to the Creek and the Cave in New York? Okay, so it's like a kind of an all. Now they moved to Austin. It closed. They moved to Austin. But when I first got to New York, it was like Donald Glover kind of started there, and it became kind of like like the jewel of the alt scene for a while. And
Colin Quinn would. Like,
Do
pop
I
in all the
strike
time.
you as the type of guy who's ever been booked on an alt show?
You strike me as the type of guy that could do great. You know what I mean?
The few times I have. The problem is the world is high school.
Yeah,
So those
right.
alt people especially look at me and they go, he's not one of us. Like, dude, I'm going to do just as well in here. Does Hannibal Buress look like an alt guy, but you still let him go?
Right.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Kurt Braunohler doesn't look alt, but you put him up.
Well, that's what I was because I like your comedy a lot, and like that's why I asked because it doesn't seem like they would not have you at Largo or whatever.
Well, if I got up there, I'd do fine.
You do great.
They just don't let me up there.
The funny thing is, the funny thing about that, and I mean, we don't want to get too into that. The funny thing is, you would do better than a lot of people. You know, that's kind of how that goes. Where
It's always
like,
annoying.
because you've worked a million different types of audiences, where a lot of those guys have only worked one very specific
Been poisoned
demographic
by the hipster audience.
Yeah. My rule was always like I like like weird absurdist jokes, but I was always like I need it to work in Williamsburg and in fucking Little Rock.
Yeah.
If it does both, then it's in the act, you know? Like I don't want to have a fucking act full of jokes that only work in a goddamn warehouse illegal comedy show in Bushwick.
Everybody rides unicycles to it.
Where they're drinking like PBR, right? But they have like a $4 million loft they live in. You're like, what are you pretending to be like blue? Like you're not.
I'm a writer.
You know, people that drink PBR, you would hate them. And it's all of America.
Yeah,
and like you think you're better than these people while you wear flannels. It's very triggering for me.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel sincere.
No, it's weird.
It's like to be elitist while wearing the costume of someone. It's like Silver Lake, where I won't even drive. If I have to drive somewhere and I have to go through Silver Lake, I drive around Silver Lake because it just triggers all my emotions of like insincere, wannabe intellectuals. They don't know anything. They'll quote Nietzsche. They've never read any of it. They're just dummies. They'll hold books at their little pizza shop / espresso /
pinball
mezcal / whatever bar. And it's annoying. They're not.
Well, what used to frustrate me, and I'm over it, and I don't care. And but I used to get mad when like I would sense sort of disdain or judgment from like kind of super alty
Yeah.
comics. And look, like there's a lot of alt comics I love, you know,
Sure.
but like when I would sense like and it's never the good ones that I would sense like disdain or judgment from. And I always wanted to just say, I can do what you do.
Sure.
You can't do what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I can do this room here that we're doing right now. You can't fucking do the loony bin
Sure.
in Tulsa. Like,
Yeah.
you would get eaten alive.
And their elitism would be like, I don't want to.
Right, I don't want to.
I
It's
don't
like,
want to.
okay, you don't want to make money,
happy.
you know? Yeah.
Well, so I
You
just
don't
wrote this
need
down
money.
because I don't want to forget it. But like Pete Holmes was saying that like his wife does like mindfulness like coaching,
Yeah.
and he was saying like her thing that she tells people is like your trauma is also like your superpower. So like Spider-Man, right? Like he gets bit by a spider. It's a traumatizing thing, but that's what gives him his superpowers. And so the same kind of thing for me. And the little bitter rant that I just did about alt comics is because that's my trauma. When I was a kid, I didn't feel included.
Right.
That affected me. I can almost pinpoint scenarios as a young kid where they weren't letting me be part of the group, or I wasn't allowed to play with those kids, or they didn't think I was cool enough to play baseball in their backyard, or Anthony Medina wouldn't invite me to his house, but he invited all these other kids. And like I was like 5, but I'm still feeling these
Right.
things, right? And that's what's become my superpower. And you can see it after any show. We barely know each other, but I include everyone.
Yep.
Right.
I love all the people.
Right.
If it's a fucking homeless guy that's, you know, like outside the thing, I'll get out of here, you rascal. I'll give him $5.
Yeah.
Or like if some lesbian girl wants to drink, or like anything. I love all the people, and I just want them to feel included. So when I'm mad at the alt comics, it's just me going, why aren't you letting me in?
Right.
That's where it's coming from. It's
Right.
me going, I can wear a hoodie if you want. I can put on a. Do you need me to wear an old vintage sweater from Value Village? I can do that if you just let me be part. And then I'm also judging them because I feel like they aren't including everyone. It's
Right.
their own little club.
Right. And it's interesting. I think the interesting thing about that is like a lot of times, and this is so common in just human interaction, I think a lot of them probably feel the exact same way.
Right.
Oh, I'm not included in the comedy
clubs.
store.
Or I
in the
wasn't.
yeah.
They had trauma of not feeling included as a kid,
Right. Like it's
And now their way is like, well, now we have a thing.
now we have
can
a thing
exclude.
we're going to protect.
Sure.
Yeah, it's so
100%.
interesting.
We're the god comics.
Yeah. We hate sports because one time a guy who played football in junior high bullied us.
Right.
And you're like, that's not the same guys. Those are different dudes. The Cleveland Browns didn't bully you when you were in
Yep.
school.
Right. Right.
And they forever hate football.
Yeah,
Because one guy.
the guys that call it sports ball and shit
Right,
like that. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know what the fuck it's called?
Exactly.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
One
Stop
guy
it.
called you a fag in 9th grade, and now you hate all sports.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
think
and
about
all
that
I did
for
was
a second.
suck one guy's dick,
Yeah.
and he had the audacity.
Yeah, think about it for 2 seconds. So it's like kind of one of those things. It's like I want everyone. That's why I hate any groups, like any of these like political groups or the civil war that's happening between men and women, or like any of these like my group. It's very annoying because the groups feel uninclusive.
Yeah, I'm so checked out, and dude, a weight came off me moving to Cleveland. I was really nervous
really?
to leave New York. I was like, I'm leaving the industry,
Yeah.
you know, like. And again,
Nowadays, you're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, I had a long talk with Chad Daniels, and he was like, "Dude."
He lives in the woods.
He was like, the way he was like, he was like, you had your little run with Comedy Central and late night. You're 38 years old. They're not coming back to you like till you blow up on your own.
Sure.
Live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Go on the road. Make it happen yourself. And it was like not being around these little comedy wars and
Yeah.
like not having to check Twitter.
Liberating.
Like, who's fucking mad at who? It's so liberating to just be like, oh yeah, I don't give a fuck,
Dude,
man.
Tim Dillon
Yeah.
got offered like 10 television shows that my corny ass would have said yes immediately to,
Right.
sign the paperwork.
Right.
Because I'm a little late. I'm not proud of this.
Right.
I would love to change, but I'm a little bit lazy in the fashion that like I have enough money to make my own thing.
Right.
And I know enough people that I could make my own thing. And yet I just sit around going, how would I do this thing? You know, like
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And that's why I love TV shows, because they've got the DP and they've got the camera crew and they
Right.
know how to edit. And they've
Right.
so I just have to show up and be Jeff, and I really like that.
Right.
But that's hurt my career, because look at Tim Dillon. He said no to all these TV shows, and let's just Google. Actually, can you do it? Yeah. Just look up how much Tim Dillon makes a month on Patreon.
It's like
just go to-
300
Already?
I think so. It's close.
I thought
to
it was
that.
at like 100. It was at like 110,000 last time I checked. a month.
Asinine. That's crazy. I mean, good for him.
To
That's
do his
fucking
own
sick.
thing.
That's great.
Good for him.
Me and Tim started around the same time in New
Okay.
York, and I love Tim to death because, like, first of all, I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
I think he's great. But then, like, the whole thing to a degree.
Monthly hits 1 million. Just go to Tim Dillon.
Just go check out his Patreon. Yeah, that
one.
one.
It'll say right on there. He's making
145.
145 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
And it only is 26,000 people. So
Yes.
think about it. I have 130,000 Instagram followers, and I make zero off of that.
Right. Yep.
He's got 26,000. That's all he needs to impress. That's
You know what's
it's
bizarre?
a tiny city, 26,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, my credits are minor. Like, you know, I've done a couple of things for Comedy Central and Seth Meyers, right? That's all I've done. And that these days, like, you're not gonna draw. You're not gonna sell tickets. Like,
Yeah,
it just
no one
doesn't.
watches
It doesn't
that
work like that anymore.
But good for you.
And,
Those are things
well,
that-
yeah, no, it's nice, and I was when guys ask me like, well, what'd you get out of it? I go, well, if you email a booker and you have that, it's a big difference, you know, or you have that clip. But here's the crazy thing: some kid who was opening for me right before quarantine was like, "You got to get on TikTok," and I was like, "Isn't that fucking teenagers twerking?" Like,
Yeah.
and I just got bored like a few months later and started throwing up old stand-up clips on TikTok, and I have drawn more
From that.
That's
great.
by
Yeah.
far.
That's
like
awesome.
like 1,000 times more people have seen my comedy because of that than network television.
I used to
It's
tell
like-
everyone, don't put anything on YouTube.
Right.
Don't put any of your stand up. Once it's on the Tonight Show or once it's on Letterman
Right.
or once I used to preach this.
Right.
Like, dude, once it's on there, then nobody can steal it from you. Because guess what? You did it on that.
Right.
Don't be putting it up on YouTube where it gets very little views and then someone bigger than you sees it and they do it on the Tonight Show. That was my paranoia.
Yeah.
Now that's the worst advice in the world.
It was good when you were giving it.
Yeah,
though.
but like now, get it up there. More people comment, "Oh, we saw this story," and I did that story like on
Yeah,
at
last
like
night.
some comedy club, and then I put it on YouTube and like that. Like that's what works now. So
Yeah.
you don't have to wait for TV. You don't have to sit around and do these things. But
me and my buddy, who at my old podcast, my podcast I had in New York. Do you know Anthony DeVito or Greg Stone?
I love Anthony DeVito.
Yeah, so we
Who's
had
the other guy?
Greg Stone.
I don't know Greg
Anthony's
Stone.
on the road more often, so you probably
Yeah,
know
he opened
Anthony.
for me in West Nyack.
Oh yeah, Levity.
Yeah.
Funny
guy, man.
Yeah, he's great. And so we had a podcast, and I have my favorite thing happened with Greg recently because he's having a kid, and I just had a kid, and we both now have a bit about our wives being pregnant. That's pretty much the same bit. But we can't remember. It came up on the podcast. Somebody talked about it on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was me, but he thinks it was him.
But- I see.
And then we
That's
each
why you
later
both-
on wrote it.
Yeah.
And it was great.
But if you gotta rely on one of the two of you's memories,
yeah, well,
I gotta lean towards Greg's
Yeah.
side on
Yeah.
this.
It's funny. Neither of us have the energy even to go
Yeah, who
like
cares?
find
Listen
it.
to
And
it.
it was such a relief to just be like, hey man, let's just
cares?
Catskill style this thing. We'll just both do
Who
it
cares?
till
Gives a
something
fuck.
happens. Who gives
Yeah,
a
no
fuck?
one gets. When I was in that's like 2005. Greg Giraldo, Jeff Ross. I don't remember. There was like 5 comics that were all pals with each other, who knew each other, who were all doing the same. I know I'm getting old because my nuts hit the water.
Right.
Yeah, not the most brilliant bit, but they all were aware of the other doing it, and I thought I was, because when you're young, you'd be joke police, you know,
Yeah.
you're like whatever, and I was like, I heard, Geraldo do that bit like 2 weeks ago when he was here, and then he was like,
Who gives a fuck?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Weirdo.
Like,
Why are you
write the
listening to
things-
everything
Yeah, like
I
what do
say?
you like? And
Yeah.
that was a real lesson for me. Like, oh yeah, if you know you didn't steal it, and
Yeah.
it's like whatever. Like, who gives a shit?
Kathleen Madigan always jokes about how many comics have some version of what she calls the timeout knockout joke, where
What's that?
it's like when I was a kid, we didn't have timeout, we got knocked out.
Oh, that's
It's
hilarious.
like there's so many
I'm
guys.
sure I'll get in trouble for sharing this story, but Daniel Tosh is just the most verbally lethal human I've ever known in my life. So much so that I've hung on every word he's ever said. We used to, not anymore, he doesn't do anything, but we used to work the same comedy magic club in Hermosa Beach. Sure. And so I'd get to be around him all the time. And we're friendly. But he would just literally say these things. Just the way he regularly speaks is hilarious and evil. Yeah. 24 hours, there's nothing that comes out of his mouth that isn't either quotable or hilarious, but it's all evil. Yeah. Nice. He's like a gun. It's so fun to shoot. Like when it comes to you, you go, oh, no. So this is the story that I'm sure I'll get in trouble for if anyone hears this. But Orny Adams is up on stage doing his thing, and Orny comes into the green room and he sees Danny, and Danny goes, "Are you the youngest comedian ever to reference his day?" Because like Orny on stage, like, in my day, we didn't have Facebook, and it was just such a great insult.
That's so
it was
funny.
A great insult.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's in his 30s and he's going, in my day. And it's Hermosa Beach where the crowd's like 900 years old. They're all old. Oh, it was just so funny.
That's awesome.
This guy, I was at the Comedy Connection in Providence, and I have this joke about how my mom would pack a healthy lunch for me and how it was the worst. And this guy was like 80, and he goes, "My mom would pack avocados," and I go, "Buddy, avocados weren't out yet. Like, what are you talking about?
Where'd you grow up?
You didn't have avocados.
That's pretty funny.
Avocados came out 9 years ago."
I like playing with history like that, stuff like that. Like avocados weren't invented yet.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm doing that right now, and it's very controversial about how like all my buddies are debating like trans people.
Yeah.
And I want to just shake them. I want to go, you don't have to sit here and get wound up at this dive bar about trans. You'll probably never meet a trans person.
Right.
Yeah.
Like your opinion means nothing.
Right.
It's so. Guess how many trans people there are in the world? 5. There's 5 trans people. Yeah. You're probably not going to know any. You're not going to meet any. And if you do, just be nice.
Yeah.
Just be accepting. If you meet one,
treat
and
them
they're
like a person.
it's not. You don't have to debate. Well, what if this? And it's like just drop it.
It's also like.
But I like the idea of saying that there's only 5 trans people. That's my favorite part of the joke.
Funny. Yeah, I love
it. Yeah, and it's also like, oh, they can't go. What if they go into the bathroom? It's like, what if a guy who fucks kids goes into the bathroom?
Right. There's way more pedophiles than trans people.
Right. But listen, we've taken up enough of your time. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me.
Fun, man.
You're doing 2 shows tonight, so
it's gonna be great.
It means a lot for you to come out and hang out with us for a little bit. Where can people find you? We don't know when this will go up, so is there a website or somewhere they can follow you?
I'm the easiest person to find on the internet. You just literally go JEFFDYE and everything comes up.
All right, awesome.
On all my socials, my website, my calendar, really easy to find.
Okay,
and you see him coming to your town, fucking go see him.
I highly recommend it, and I really appreciate your honesty. That's kind of what we're trying to do with this podcast is just get at a little bit of seriousness, but mostly fuck around.
Yeah, and also people should know, man, life's good. It don't matter how bad.
Yeah,
I know shit gets dark, and that's okay. But like, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Like, wake up, and you go, it's gonna be okay.
You just
people love you.
Keep walking through it. It'll be fine. And you can follow me at Airbud, EYREBUD, on Twitter and Instagram, or Real Brendan Air on TikTok, where I'm accidentally famous. Jimmy, where can the people find you, man?
Find me on Instagram at Insta Jimmy Graham. That's Jimmy with an IE, or Twitter, Jimmy_Graham. Or if you're driving around Painesville, Ohio, you can see me landscaping during the day. You can come up and say what's up.
It's a good place. You can find him in there.
A bunch of felons.
He's sort of like
Why are you doing this? I mean, I've heard the bit. Did you get in trouble?
I'm broke. No.
You're doing it
so subscribe to the
because
Patreon
you need
too.
money.
Yeah.
And they're doing it because they shanked their wife. Yeah. That's amazing.
Do they mix? I didn't know that was a mix. I thought those were separate crews.
I'm fascinated by that.
The criminal crew and the for money crew. They work together?
That's crazy.
They're my bosses, technically.
Do you know what I would do if I found out that you're just doing it for a check? I'd be like, you can't be here.
Yeah.
1, you're in danger. And 2, we've got enough people that have done crimes.
Yeah.
that we don't want to pay people. We want them to have to do it, and we sign off on some paperwork, and they bring it back to their parole officer.
You're taking the not food out of someone else's mouth.
Exactly. Just sitting there going, get out of here. He's trying to get money off this.
Yeah, you fucking weirdo. But
All right.
hey, one day at a time.
Yeah. All
That's
right,
how you meet podcast guests. That's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
All right, shit brains. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, it's Brendan. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Shit Brains. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you review it, you rate it, all of that stuff really helps the algorithm. Throw us a follow at Shit Brains Show on Instagram and Twitter, Shit Brains Show on YouTube. You can email us your questions at shitbrainshow@gmail.com. We even have, for you hardcore fans, a Facebook group where you can go and you can chat and meet up with other fans. That's Shit Brains Show on Facebook. So, and then of course, if you really like it and you want some bonus content, we're coming out with a bonus episode every single week, plus a lot of other bonus content. You're going to want to get on there and check it out. Go to patreon.com/shitbrainshow. Later, Shit Brains.